Hello dear friends, my name is Dr. Brodski. I'm a GP, I practice NHS medicine and I practice holistic or anthroposophic medicine both face-to-face and on Zoom. Today let's talk about glycemic index. What is glycemic index? It is a measure of speed at which sugar hits our bloodstream after we've eaten something. Glycemic index can range from 0 to about 100, and 100 of course is high glycemic index, and up to 40 is low, and everything in between is medium. Why is this important? It's really important. If we flood our body with sugar, we eat a lot of foods that release sugar fast. It actually has so many health ramifications that are to be avoided, and I'm just gonna say what they are. So if we constantly flood our body with a lot of sugar, so our insulin is going to be high a lot of the time, because peak of sugar is mirrored by peak of insulin. This is when the pancreas is working, because pancreas helps our body use that sugar. So what happens if we have high insulin on a regular basis? After every meal it goes very high. Our body goes into fat storing mode, our body goes into hunger mode. That's why soon after we've eaten we can feel so hungry again, which is really annoying, because then we gain weight. And of course then it becomes a completely vicious cycle, because this is how we develop diabetes type 2, which is completely preventable. We don't have to have it. And this is part of how we can break that vicious cycle. So what else happens? When our body is flooded with sugar a lot of the time, our immune system is not so effective. This is why people with diabetes have great difficulty fighting off infections, both viral and bacterial. And of course, weight gain leads to a lot of other problems. High body mass ratio index, which is a lot of weight basically, is linked with all types of cancer. So you just think you're eating something sugary, but actually it's got far-reaching consequences. The other thing that happens when we flood our body with sugar, our energy goes up temporarily, but it also means that it's going to crash. So our energy is unstable. We have highs, we have lows. When we have highs and lows in our energy, our mood often mirrors that. So our mood is also unstable, high and low. And of course, if we're gaining weight because our body is flooded with sugar, and our body, because of insulin, is in fat storing mode, then of course we're also putting ourselves at risk of heart attacks and strokes, because being overweight is usually linked with diabetes, high blood pressure, heart attacks and strokes. So you see, it's a really the effect snowballs, and it's really important not to go there or to break this vicious cycle. Let's talk about a few examples. So if you take potatoes, we eat them a lot. And most of us eat a lot of potatoes. Now, if you bake potatoes, the glycemic index really goes up. As a rule of thumb, foods that have been cooked for longer will release sugar faster. So the least processed foods are, the slower the sugar comes out. And also, by the way, preferring foods that release sugar slowly also means eating foods that are less processed, and they by default will have more minerals and will be more balanced. So there are also other benefits, because your nutrition will be more whole if you choose foods that are less processed. Let's talk about individual foods. Talking about potatoes. So, and under my video I will link an example of a website where you can check glycemic index of some foods. Okay, some websites there'll be a little bit of variation, but you will get an idea. And all I want you to know is the principle, because then you feel empowered and you know how to create good health for yourself that will last. So potatoes, baked potatoes, guess what the glycemic index is? It's like 72, which is high. Some potato preparations even push glycemic index up to 100. Contrast that with another type of carbohydrate, lentils. Of course, they have protein as well. Glycemic index of cooked lentils is about 31, which is pretty medium. So if I haven't said from 0 to about 45, I would call this low, and like 50 onwards to 100 is high, everything else is sort of in the middle. The general rule of thumb is to aim to eat foods of low to medium glycemic index, and when you go for high glycemic index foods, there's no problem, just don't eat a lot of them and don't eat them every day necessarily, so that you have some balance. Also, don't feel put off by a thought that actually you have to know glycemic indices of all different foods. It doesn't work like that. It's a principle. Again, as a principle, all green vegetables have low glycemic index. For example, broccoli's glycemic index is 15. I mean, almost nothing. But of course, it is not filling when you just eat broccoli. You need some proper carbohydrates. Another principle, so less refined, the less refined the grain is, the lower the GI index. So for example, brown rice is better than white rice. Black rice is better than both of those rices. And so you get an idea. Let's just summarize. What are the benefits of awareness of glycemic index, of how fast the sugar comes out of various foods? The benefits are, by keeping your sugars more steady during the day, avoiding peaks and troughs, you're going to have more steady energy, you're going to have more steady mood, you're going to have lower average level of insulin, which means that you're not going to have massive cravings, because once we have a lot of sugar and the insulin is also high, then sugar goes down because the insulin helps our body use the sugar, but insulin is still high. This is when we get really hungry. We just eaten not long ago, but we're hungry again. And this is such a vicious cycle. So you're going to break that cycle because you're gradually going to reduce your average level of insulin. And by doing that, you're going to put your body in a fat burning mode as opposed to fat storing mode. The weight loss is going to be easier. You're going to have more energy, like we said. Your immune system will be stronger. And you'll just have a feeling that you have more control over your life because you're not constantly hungry. Insulin is a hormone of hunger. And when we avoid these peaks of sugar, we avoid the peaks of insulin, the insulin is going to be lower, we're going to be less hungry on average. So I hope this is helpful. And if you have any questions, just email me. Or if you want an appointment, just email me. Sending you all lots of love. Bye.